In today's video, I have someone with me because today I am going to be showing you how to design specifically for print on demand and what you need to do. So Imogen is going to be learning print on demand from me in this series of videos. And obviously we need to have an image that we can put across all of our products before we even start. But let me just ask, Imi, why are you here with me now?
Because I'm 68, I find it difficult to learn. And after talking to you the other week, I convinced you that I would be the perfect student to teach print on demand at an older age, because frankly, I find it difficult to learn. So if you can teach me, Jo, then you can teach absolutely anyone. And
That
that's the
is
reason why.
perfect. I think this is really going to help me too, because although I do train people print on demand all the time, it's very easy for me to skim over things because I've been doing it so long. And it's a bit like when you're trying to teach somebody else to drive a car, that you automatically go straight into checking your mirrors and putting your seatbelt on and things like that. But for somebody totally new to it, you need to remember all of these procedures and list them out. And you suddenly have to think about all those things you're doing. And so it's very similar for me. So by helping you and me, and I have to say, print on demand is brilliant for retirees and pre-retirees as an interest, as a new hobby, but also because it's another income stream as well. So it's a hobby that pays you money that you don't have to spend any money out to do. Amazing.
Perfect.
Perfect. So, as I say, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about designing for print on demand. Now, I have two sites that I use all the time for this. One is Canva and the other is Kittle. And today we're going to concentrate on Canva. Now, there are certain functions within Canva that you have to have a pro account for and not just the basic free one. So I totally recommend you have a pro account. And here we are in Canva. Imi, I believe you don't have a Canva account, is that right?
I did have, but then I found it too complicated and I gave up. And I did look on YouTube for a tutorial, but everybody spoke 9 to the dozen and I had to slow them down ridiculously slow. And then I still gave up.
Absolutely fair enough. I am totally with you there. And something Canva do, because we're all growing and we're all trying to improve our businesses as time goes on. And Canva are constantly evolving and constantly changing things, which I understand and I appreciate. And it's great for all these new innovations. Obviously, technology changes all the time. But for us, with print on demand and with what we're going to be doing, there are only a few things that we need to use. And sometimes they sort of move them around a bit. If you ever have any problems, drop me a comment on this video. I will see it and then I can do another video quickly or answer your comment to let you know where you find it.
Perfect.
So if you use the free one of the issues that we have is you can only save your images with a background, and that's not going to work terribly well for us. I will get on to why. So I recommend that you sign up for a pro account. So here we are, here's the pricing, and it's saying £100, but obviously that's per year. If you were to change it to monthly,
Yes, that's what I was being charged.
it goes up to 13. So like many of these things, if you buy it in one go, it's a little bit cheaper. As you can see down here, we've got this purple bar where you can start your free trial, and it's a free trial for a month.
Is that free for the Canva Pro or is that just Canva free?
So Canva free means that you wouldn't be able to use anything that's got that little yellow crown icon.
Yeah. But if you started the trial on Canva, would you get everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you click on the purple bar, it will give you all of the features, but then after a month you'll lose those features if you don't go ahead with Canva Pro.
Ah, okay.
does give you that opportunity to see if it's something you're going to use. Now, obviously, you would be getting loads of use of it for print on demand, but there's also a lot that you'll find is really useful for things like your YouTube channel, for if you do emails to people, email newsletters or anything like that, or a blog or anything like that, and you want to start putting images in. There's a huge library of what they call elements, which are different graphics, different images, different videos that you can use. With Canva free, there are still some things that you can use, but it is much, much more limited. So before we go ahead and go into my Canva so I can show you what we're going to do, Imi, how do you feel about the fact that you would have to pay every month? Would you rather try and get all of your designs done in one go during that free period and then cancel it? Or do you think it's something you might use generally?
Well, I've got this YouTube channel, and I do like learning. So if I can get the tuition on Canva at the speed that it will assimilate into my brain, then I don't mind paying out for a whole year's worth, because I
Fantastic.
will use it for my channel,
I,
frankly.
I do really recommend it. And I'm not an affiliate for Canva or anything like that, but I do really recommend it. It is user friendly. I was with Photoshop before, had Photoshop before, which I didn't find user friendly at all. With Photoshop, there's another alternative called Photopea or Photopea. So if anybody does want to get a little bit sort of deeper into graphic design, there is that option. But Photopea, it's spelled PEA, and nobody knows whether to pronounce it Photopea or Photopea. With that, it's free, whereas Photoshop obviously has a monthly fee. But
Mm.
it's not, I find, as user friendly as Canva.
No, I
Canva
definitely need user-friendly.
Canva, yeah, Canva is comfortable. And my absolute recommendation is don't try and learn everything on there because there is so much on there. You will never do it, and they're always bringing new stuff all the time. Find the bits you like, the bits you feel comfortable with, the bits I'll show you on this, and then use them and rinse them and get the most out of them because it is.
Perfect.
It lists down here absolutely everything that you would get. When you click on start a free trial, you can see all the different options, all the different ways that you can start your account. You can do it with Google, you can do it with a Facebook account, or you could do it with email. Let's just pick one and you literally just type in your email address and it takes you through. So now, as you can see, starting a free 30-day trial, but I still have to tick to say which I'm going to want to do, whether I'm going to do yearly or monthly. So just for the sake of this, because I don't want to, if I forget, then be charged £100, I'm going to click on monthly. And it's got due today, 30 days free, next. It will ask for your credit or debit card number or for you to sign into PayPal. Now, I fully appreciate that this is a bit disconcerting because then you might think, what if I forget to cancel it? Put a reminder on your calendar or on a post-it note or something to reassess within 30 days whether you're going to be using it or not. Because what I don't want to happen is for you to forget, and 6 months down the line, you've been paying £13 for something you might not be using.
Plus, it already says we'll send you a reminder 7 days before your Canva Pro trial ends.
Yes. So you fill in your details here and then you will be ready to go ahead and you will have your free trial. So for the purposes of today's training, I'm just going to go straight into my account. We are going to create a design. I can either create a design here or I can choose one of these options across the top. Amy, can you see my little hand?
I can, but I would prefer it if you went a bit slower, because I
Okay.
find that whizzy hand a bit, you know,
Yes, I can imagine. So
whiz.
So just to repeat that, but going more slowly with my whizzy hand.
Yes,
Whizzy hand, I like that.
yeah.
Just to go a little more slowly, you can see there's lots of things across here that you can design. And I will repeat what I said earlier that not everybody's Canva looks the same because they're forever doing updates and changes. So if you're watching this video in the future and your Canva doesn't look the same as my Canva, as long as you find the particular elements that I'm talking about, which will be there, then you're good to go, and it will take you to the same place, because they do change it. They change the color scheme, they change where they put things all the time. Keep us on our toes. So we can either click over here on the left to create a design, just where it says Canva. And if we do that, we then get the options up again of all the different places that you can do it. But what we want is this custom size. So custom size, and you can always identify it because it's got an arrow going across the top and across the side, and it's sort of a picture of your canvas, of your blank canvas. Okay, so if we hadn't pressed, let me just come out of that. If we hadn't pressed create a design, we could have just chosen this option here. But if it's not something you use regularly, it might not be across here. It might not be necessarily there. But it's only because I use this quite a lot. It would be in more. So you either choose it here, which just means one click, or you go create a design and then choose it. It takes you to the same place. So what we have here is we've got the width and then the height and then the units. Now, when you first start with Canva, your units are going to be in inches. It's an American company and everything is done in inches. So we don't want it to be in inches. We want it to be in pixels. So change that first. If you type your figures in here and then try and change it from inches to pixels, it will modify the numbers. It will try and convert them, and you will end up with really huge, huge numbers. It just won't
That's
work.
worth knowing.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to type 5,000 by 5,000. Now, this is the biggest square you can have within Canva. And really annoyingly, it used to be 4999 by 4999, which was always such a mouthful. And if you look at some of my really, really old videos from years ago, when I used to put one video on every 6 months, I was always saying 49999, but it was
You
awful.
were clearly prolific in those days.
Yeah, before I took it seriously, right?
Yeah.
So 5,000 by 5,000, and that's going to give us a nice big canvas. Now, as you can see on here, I've got recents, and these are recent sizes that I've been doing. So I could have selected it from here and it would have just been quicker. And when you're doing design after design, it's worth noticing that those are there, because it does mean that you can just select that quickly. This is also another interesting size. And when you're doing print on demand, you might not necessarily want a square. I recommend always working with a square because it's very easy to picture in your mind how things fit. So if you want a portrait rectangle instead of square, type in this amount. So 4,500 width by 5,400 pixels. So we'd have 4,500 in this box by 5,400 pixels in this one. And that gives you a really good oblong, a really good vertical oblong, but there's no reason not to use a square. But if you prefer to work with a rectangle, use these dimensions. And if you wanted a landscape one, do 5,400 by 4,500, because these will still be massive, but they won't be so big that Canva won't be able to deal with it. So 5,000 by 5,000, or 4,500 by 5,400, or vice versa. But we are going to go with the square because it's the most straightforward. So let's do that. Click Create New Design. And as you can see, Imi, it looks like it's quite a small square, doesn't it?
It does,
Actually,
yes.
it's huge.
Like
It's
how huge?
it's actually huge. So how can I see how big it is? We could take advantage of that thing that I said where it swaps into inches. So if I put 5,000 by 5,000 pixels in here and change that to inches,
Oh my
it
God, it's huge.
I told you, didn't I say?
It's
52,
huge.
52 inches.
God,
So
you'd need to be enormous to have a t-shirt that big, wouldn't you?
yeah, but we're going to be putting this on things like duvet covers in a moment,
Oh,
in another video. It'll be going on huge things. Isn't that marvelous?
I
So
love that.
yeah, exactly. So what looks like just a silly little square is actually massive.
I'm just going to think of that as a duvet.
Yeah, do that. But it does mean that whatever design we put on there, we know can blow up onto these bigger things without going all fuzzy and going all rubbish. Now, there will always be different sizes and different things that we have to modify this slightly. And when I'm showing you how to upload into Redbubble, don't worry, I will take you through that. But for now, let's just work with this square. So we have the square here, complete blank canvas. Our imagination can go wild. One of the things we can do is we can upload. So by clicking this on the left-hand side, we've got uploads. And here we can click upload files and we can upload, literally, from our computer files, which means if you've got photos, if you've got things, images, paintings, things like that, that you've scanned through, you can upload those and you can put them on your design.
I think I would like to, because this is what I intend to do with my Redbubble account or my print on demand account, is I intend to use typographical art.
So with text, we go into text here, the big T,
Yeah.
and it brings you here and it's got add a text box. And it has brought me up a little one, so I'm going to make it bigger. And because it's highlighted, that means I could start typing and it will come up, whatever I'm typing. Now, unless my cursor is on it, or as I say, unless it's highlighted, it's not going to do it. So I need to be clicked into that field, into that area.
Okay.
Now we can make this area bigger by clicking on one of the nodes on the corner and dragging. But can you see how when I do that, this area,
Yeah.
the size here goes up?
Oh yes. Yeah.
So that it's kind of like there's two or three really ways to do it. So I can increase the size by clicking this, or I can click on that to highlight it and just choose one of these. Or I could even type in if I wanted to. So there's lots of ways to go about any of this.
Is that text in Play Fair Display? Is that the font?
That's right. So all along here, and if you're on a laptop, it can be a bit different because they haven't got room for all of these elements across here. So what they'll do is just have more or dot dot dot, and then you just click on it, and all of these others will be there in a drop down, an extra menu. So if I click on font here, it is going to bring up all of these other fonts that are available. And as you can see, there are loads.
Tons.
There are absolutely tons. Now, some of them are already in Canva, and some of them I've uploaded. So can you see down here at the bottom, you can upload a font.
Oh,
So what would this be? This would be where I've gone onto a site such as Design Bundles or Creative Fabrica, and I've bought a specific font that I wanted. So, for example, I mean, as I say, there are so many here. It's hard to even imagine that I can't find one I like. But if I've seen one somewhere else and I want to buy it in, I can simply do it by uploading here. And it will give me the opportunity to upload extra, another font. But you don't need to because there's loads here, really. It's only if it's something very specific you've got in mind. So I'm going to pick one. Now, when you're choosing your fonts, I want you to really think about what's going to happen to these. So this one, for example, Brittany, it's a very pretty font, but look how spindly it is. There are many different ways to print, but one of them is that you effectively dye the fabric. So if you're sort of dyeing the fabric, it's called sublimation. With sublimation, it doesn't matter if it's a spindly print, it can cope with it. So the other print methods are kind of stuck on top of the surface. So if you can imagine those words cut out and then stuck on top of the surface, then imagine it on a hoodie or a t-shirt that's going through the washing
yeah,
machine and
yeah.
through the dryer. Eventually that's going to come off. It's going to peel off. So bear that in mind when you are choosing your fonts. And I'm not saying don't use swirly fonts, but use ones that are a little bit thicker. That little
More robust.
you'll lose it. You'll just lose it. So do bear that in mind. Should I put something different rather than you are in me? That's a bit weird, isn't it? What about if I just put something bland? Life is good, right? So I'm going to choose a different font. I'm going to choose one that's a bit bulkier. Let's go with this one. Life is good. I do have another reason for not choosing a spindly font, and that is one that probably only the women would think about. And that is if you've got something very fine and very swirly and very hard to read, it means that people will come right up to you and invade your personal space and be looking probably around the chest area to read it. And that is really horrible. So I don't recommend it anyway from that point of view. One thing I am going to do as well is I'm going to stretch this out to pretty much fill the whole of my canvas, because I can always reduce the size when I'm putting it on my products, but I don't want to expand it for the same reasons as we've said before. I don't want to expand it in case it starts to deteriorate, pixelate. The other thing that you'll notice along this top bar is we've got position, so I can center it. I don't have to rely on doing it by eye. I can
Oh, that's
center it.
brilliant.
And I can also put it in the middle if I want to, or if I want to have it at the top, or at the bottom, or to the extreme left, extreme right. You have these things at your facility, and sometimes when you click onto this, Canva can put you on that instead. If that happens, don't worry, just click onto arrange. It's all still there. Now, obviously, we do have things like alignment here. So where alignment is different to position is, say I was in this box and I'd put here something like life is good, and then press return and then put great. So as you can see, because we've got it on center here, it's automatically centered it. So it's not about where the whole box is. That's position, this one. It's about where the words are within that box. So alignment is where the words are within that box. So if I was to go to left, it'll move it over there. So great, I am. So there. Now you might want to do that from a style point of view.
I'm finding all of this incredibly interesting. All those things at the top, I found when I did have the account that I just thought, oh, I don't know how to use those. And I got disenchanted. So all of this is incredibly valuable. This is a great Canva tutorial. Really, really super helpful.
I hope so. So
That initial font that you used, did you buy that one?
Bakari, no, it's on there.
No, I mean not Bakari, the initial one that you had, Playfield, whatever it was.
Because I use Playfair a lot, mine automatically comes up with Playfair. But no, Playfair's always on everything. It's a really common one.
It's a lovely font.
One thing I do want you to notice is this bar here is tiny at the moment, and that is because it's relating to where this line is. So it thinks it's talking about the whole canvas here. So once I click on this, suddenly I've got all these other options. So
Ah,
if you're on here and you're worried, where's everything gone? That's what you
like I
need to,
would.
yeah, that's what you need to do. You need to get that on there. Now, I do want to just reiterate about centering. So I've pulled this over to make it bigger. It's not in the middle anymore. Now, as I say, you can go into position and click center. The other thing you can do is you can click on the box and you can drag it. And can you see where you've got those pink lines?
Yeah.
So I've got a vertical pink line and a horizontal pink line that shows me that I'm in the middle. So now one tip here, this is so much easier with a mouse than if you're trying to do it on a laptop with the pad. I would always recommend using a mouse for this. Now, I may look at this and think that's a bit spaced out. These gaps here, I don't like it. I want to change the gaps, the spacing between the lines. So I can do that by clicking on spacing here, and I can change the letter spacing. So I can really spread it out. Now with this font, that won't work because the letters are all linked together. So it just looks a bit peculiar if I do that. But I can also change my line spacing so I can really condense it. Again, you want to make sure it's clear for people. Can you see me how it all becomes
Mm,
like gobbledygook?
mm.
But here I've got it nicely spaced out.
In fact, that will be very handy for printing a big block of text in a very thick font, like a newspaper font,
Yeah.
on a t-shirt so that you could get it almost touching, but not quite.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So play around with it. Play around with how you want it to look. You have a vision in your mind's eye of what you think you want things to look like. And it's often so difficult for that to translate, to actually get that out there. So by playing around with all of these functions, you can get it to as close as possible.
Yes, that's brilliant in itself. Absolutely brilliant. If I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have deleted my account.
Absolutely.
I should,
So
I should have talked to you first.
yes, if only you'd have known me.
Before.
So one thing I am going to do is I know that you don't particularly like this font, so I'm going to change it back to Playfair Display. And once again, we've got the most recent ones here. Oh,
I think
can you
that's a
see
very
what
elegant font.
I did there? Because I hadn't highlighted the whole lot, it only did the line I was on. And that is really worth remembering. That is one of those things I just do second nature without thinking about it. But it's a really good point. So if
Yeah,
you don't think it's behaving itself, do that. Make sure you've highlighted. So usually left button down, highlighted your text so that the whole thing is definitely included. So yes, that is a lovely font.
yeah, it's
Now,
elegant.
you may notice I didn't use any capitals.
No.
Now, I could go through and just retype it, or I could just do this,
Oh, I love that.
and it will take it. Now, obviously, capitals take up a lot more space, so might want to decrease my font size. And this, because I've got everything all highlighted, it's going to decrease the size of every single letter. So if you highlight the whole thing, it will do the whole thing. Okay. Now, obviously, if I just wanted to change one, I could just do that. So great. So there's already a lot there.
Jo, what is that sort of checker box thing? What does that do?
Well, this is transparency. So if you wanted to,
Oh, ah,
what I will say is that some print methods can't handle transparency. So be very careful with how you use this. If it's going to be a surface print, so what I said earlier about, with the print wash cycle, imagine that process. Imagine how hard that's going to be for the person, because there will ultimately be somebody printing it, the person printing it, to emulate that color, to recreate that. They're not going to be able to get, for example, if it's a vinyl is a block solid color. So if you have used transparency to make it only half that, they're going to have to try and match it as a grey
mm.
here. Now, this isn't the problem too much with Redbubble, because Redbubble are likely to use something called digital print. So with digital print, it's all computerized, so it's not that much of an issue. But instead of using transparency to get that grey, instead of that, I would go onto color here. And this is where we get to choose our colors.
Oh, they're nice
Now,
colours.
obviously, there's only a few here. You can set these. So these that I've set are for client work I've done. These are my brand colors and that kind of thing. Or you can use any color. So you can type a hex code in here, Pantone color, or you can use this to take you through all the different colors. And wherever this little circle is what the colour is in here, and its own individual Pantone colour will come up here. So if you find a colour you particularly like, what's your favourite colour, Imi?
Teal.
Yeah, I like teal too.
Mm.
That's a bit too bluey, really, isn't it?
Mm.
I'll be here all day trying to find the perfect teal. Let's just do that, right?
Yeah, that's lovely.
But say I put it in that colour and you look at that and you think that's really nice. I want to use that colour all the time.
Mm.
So you can note down this number because that will always be that colour.
Mm.
And you can also set it on this left-hand side here. It is a pro function because you see the little crown.
Mm.
You do like a brand and you can put it in there. And that means, like I have here under B and C, Branding Covered, my trading company, you'll always have access to that one because you
Oh,
put it there. So you can colours that you use all the time, and you can do it with fonts as well. You can have so that they're really quick to get to.
that's so handy.
One thing I will say about when you're picking your font colours or the colours for your images is if you're thinking about what this is going on, the products it's going on, some of those products are clothing, and people prefer to wear black. Black t-shirts sell so much better than white t-shirts. So don't always necessarily, you can do some, but don't always necessarily, especially if you're just doing slogans, don't always necessarily just do black. Because as you'll see, if I have black and I'm going to colour in my background back. So background in black. It's easy for me to say. So why instead don't I do my slogan in white? Or how about if I use something like, I'll just use my teal for now. Teal, then it works on black and may go for one a little better, but it also works on white.
Mm.
It sort of works on everything.
I do like that you can use it as a brand colour. That's very handy to keep
Mhm.
it sort of filed so that you can get
Absolutely.
hold of it quickly.
So there we are. Now I haven't got that in the middle, but you will see once we're putting them on the product why it's so important for me to have it positioned in the middle. Otherwise, I'm going to have to adjust every single one. Now there are other things we can do in Canva. Very briefly, I'm just going to show you one or two. Whether we would use them for our print on demand, I don't know. But effects, we can add some funky effects. So, for example, we can have hollow,
Mm.
and it does that. We can have shadow. Be careful with shadow because we don't want this shadow color to be such an insignificant color. It's not going to show up. Think about what it's going to look like on print. But you can change it. Can you see how it's moving around?
That actually makes me feel as if I've got something wrong with my eyes.
Yeah, perhaps wouldn't use that one. Then there's this one. This is quite good. So now I'm thinking about your YouTube thumbnails, Imi.
Yeah,
So here we've got outline, and you can choose the thickness of the line,
yes.
and you can choose the color, obviously. So if I did it in orange, it looks a bit weird. But if I did do it in orange, there we go. And obviously the colour in the middle bit of that L is this colour. So
Yeah.
plenty there. I
Yeah.
would stay away from doing stuff for print like this.
Oh my goodness, yes. That doesn't even look good, does it?
It doesn't. But how are they going to, with a surface print, how are they going to recreate that? It would
Mm.
be impossible.
Mm.
Stay away from that. So really think about the process. That makes my eyes go funny. But something else I want to show you. This is so good. I'm going to get rid of all that and make it shorter because I want to show you this.
Oh, I like that's friendly.
How isn't it? And we can make the curve bigger, we can make the curve smaller. the arc.
Oh my goodness, that's
Can you see what I'm
fantastic.
doing on the left?
Yes, yes, I
So you
do.
take it from a negative to a positive, and it will change. And if you wanted to do a wave, make it smaller, right? Duplicate it and then put it next to it. Then go
Oh,
back into effects. And instead of being plus 43, where we are now, I'm going to take it to minus 43.
oh, how clever is that?
And
That is so clever.
we've got a wave.
I love it.
I know. And look how far you've come in one session.
Yes, I'm so keen.
Yes.
I
So
can't
now
wait to hand over my £100.
I wish I was an affiliate. So, but now I want to show you something that's really important. So if I was to move this, it would only move that bit,
Yeah,
and same here. But it's not in the middle, so I want to move it. So what
yeah,
I'm going to do is I'm going to left click on my mouse. And if it's an Apple mouse, you just sort of go sort of in the left-hand area on your mouse
yeah.
and keep your finger on it. And you see this box that's opening up. I'm going to drag it across everything I want to encompass. And then when I take my finger off, it gives me the option to group. And now suddenly it's all together.
How fabulous.
So that means that I can position it how I want to. Again, I can just drag it, or I could have gone up here. And if then I think, well, actually, now I've done that, I want to change something, all you need to do is click ungroup. But it's got this sort of temporary line around it. So if you click on the outside area, now it's done it. So
Mm.
again, they're individuals.
Gosh, this tutorial is
How
so helpful, Jo. So incredibly helpful.
pleased. I'm really pleased. Now, I'm not going to go, there's not that much more to really tell you, unbelievably, with the basics of this. There is something that's really important I want to tell you, though. So I'm going to just group that and move it down here, sort of out of the way, while I show you this. Elements.
Mhm.
Now, elements are all the little design elements that Canva has. I'm going to put Poppy in because I can see a picture of poppies at the moment, and poppies are cute and everything. So we've got graphics, photos, videos, and lots of other things. But we're looking particularly here at graphics and photos, and again, it goes down here. So I could choose a graphic from this, or a photo, or obviously there's videos, but I can't turn a video into a print. So it's only really these two that we're bothered about.
Mm.
So if I go graphics and see all, there's lots here. But look, most of them have got that crown. So this is where you can see just how limited it is if you don't have Canva Pro.
Mm.
You would be able to have this one, use, this one, this one, this one, or this one. That's all.
Yes.
Oh, and one or two further down. So there's just so much more. Now, it might be that those are perfectly nice, and we can go onto this filter here and click free, and it'll just show you the free ones. And yeah, there's actually a fair few. However you're doing it, you will always love the paid ones more,
Absolutely.
because that's how life is. You will always prefer the paid ones more. Now, something that I really want to hammer home to everybody is that if that's all I wanted to do, make sure it's in the middle. And can you see how it goes paler when it is in the middle?
Mm.
If that's all I wanted to do to put on my t-shirt, I could. That's fine. I'm going to delete this. If I wanted to just have that, I couldn't. That's breaking Canva's terms, because this is very deliberately called an element. It's not to be used as a design completely in its own right. And this
Ah.
is down to Canva's licensing agreement. So if I go back into elements, I'll put Poppy back in again just so you can see where it is on there. But you see these 3 dots here? I mean, I know, and now you all know, that if you use a Canva element that is in Canva Pro, you are not licensed to use it just on its own. You cannot do it. However, if you want further information on this, click on those 3 dots here, go on I, and it tells you how you can use it in a wide range of personal commercial uses. Don't resell or take credit for the original media or trademark anything that contains it. What? Let's get clearer. It's all here in their license agreement. Now, what I will do, Canva have done a really lovely, helpful video explaining licensing and how it works. All you really, really need to remember is if it's Canva Pro, you have to modify it in some way, and it's a substantial way. So either add text to it or have like one poppy there and add another poppy in with it, that sort of thing. So make it an element of your design. And I tell you what, Imi, I don't think I'd want to.
No.
I don't think I'd want to, because if I just use just that one that's in the purple border there, anybody could do that. I've
Yes.
added nothing to it. It's not unique. I haven't played around with it or done anything with it.
I never understood the elements thing until then. That's so
Yeah.
interesting and so valuable as well.
They've called it elements for a reason.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is, it'll take a while because we've done so much fiddling about, but these arrows up here are really, really useful. Undo. You can also do Command Z, or if you're not on a Mac, Control Z, and that will do the same. And this works in any program you're in, I'll be honest. But so if I click back, it can take me back to that. So rather than having to type it all in again. So now we've got our design and we like it very much. I am going to do the group thing. And then I'm going to do position, middle, and it was already centered. So now I know it's perfectly in the middle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save it. So I've decided that I've got everything I want on there. And of course, there's no reason why I can't bring my writing over my image, play around with all different things. With position here, I can take, group that again. I can take this and put it on top of it. Or what if I star-wise just wanted to tip that top of that G and put it behind the one that's highlighted, one that's got the purple round it. I can go backwards and look, the poppy's in front of it now. And then I can bring it forwards again and things like that. So just to show you that, really. But you can always do undo. So you can't do anything wrong. So don't be scared of it. So there we are. I'm going to type in the name here. And again, if you're on a laptop, you'll find this box is sort of squashed up. So you have to sort of just start typing it to expand on it. I'm going to save it. And to do that, you click Share, Download. And this is important. We want to share it as a PNG because a PNG file is very high quality. So
I
it can
know that.
Yeah, it's much higher quality than a JPEG. JPEG is best for sharing, as it says, because it's a smaller file. So if you're going to be sending it by email or something like that, it's much easier to do.
What about YouTube?
I'd use PNG because it's best for complex images and illustrations.
Okay.
Now you could do SVG, but stick with me on this because PNG is just super versatile. And you will find what happens is that once you start doing print on demand on one platform, you might ultimately want to do it on other platforms, and all the platforms will accept a PNG file. So save it as a PNG here. But you see this box here, transparent background.
Yes.
I want you to tick that. Unless you know you want this white panel. Imagine that on a t-shirt, how ugly that would be.
Yes, it would look ugly.
It wouldn't look right. So, and if you've been trying to visualize it in black, so you've colored it in black, if you've done that, like we were talking about earlier, then if I saved it and I didn't click transparent background, I'd get that black panel.
Yes, that would look very cheap, I think.
You don't want, and even if you're designing for a black t-shirt and you put it on a black panel, it's never going to look the same. It's always going to look rubbish. So don't do it. So by clicking transparent, it's going to save it without whichever color background. So tick that, but you can only do that if it's a Canva Pro.
Another good reason to pay your £100.
Exactly. If I hadn't got this text, and if I'd tried to download it, I'm ticking my background, I'm doing all the right things, it's in PNG, it failed. Why did it fail? Because I was breaking their terms. So it's not even going to let you do this. It's not going to let you mess up here. And it's all about the artist that's come up with this image or the photographer in a photo. It's about their rights, really. It's so you're not basically just taking their work and bunging it on things, whereas they've given the permission to use it as an element. That's it. We are now ready. We have everything we need. Once you've done it a few times, you'll be whizzing through.
I am so excited. You know, I'm going to reactivate my account and I'm going to sit and play. And then you'll be getting lots of messages and you'll just have to hide your phone.
No, excellent. You can't go wrong. Use that little curly arrow at the top to go back if you've made a mistake. It doesn't matter. Start a new canvas. Start again. If you get
this is a perfect speed. This is a perfect speed for
good.
somebody like me. Absolutely perfect.
Excellent. That's excellent. And we know each other well enough that you know to stop me and to just like dig in and say, Jo, wait, Jo, please. You know, what's this? What's that? So please do it. Please
Thank
do
you.
it. Let's start off right from the beginning with a perfect image that you can then use as your design for print on demand.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And when you save it as something logical, because I promise you, print on demand is addictive, and you might want to use that image for a notebook cover at some point,
okay.
or a planner cover, or something else. So by saving it as something where you can find it again, it's perfect, and you can reuse that work
over and over again.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Jo.